Diwati language kadin sui diwayot nang isi chak lang.
We talk about there's no exam. If there is no exam, how we decide a degree? We don't have a degree. How we can get the job, employees? How we do the work? If we want to work something in the office, something in industry, we should have we should have a degree to show them, prove them. I did this. I did something in this subject, this particular field. So how can we can say that you did something in this? That's also.
Course of all, and we have to be better to release it, because then students would come and be happy to go to school. And in many places, people are not happy to go. Children are not happy to go to school. We have also to solve that problem. Why are they not so happy? Why are they failing, etc.? In my opinion, it's the teachers and it's a system. It is not the children and it's not the young people. I know it's a little bit square maybe, but I just think, yeah, I have to make my point.
デンマークのこの今日説明した学校はもともと農民解放運動の学校です。
Sorry, Japanese story from the Kung Denmark movement begitu nang atau Zimbabwe movement hisab jika syurucakan jika boleh kumama.
160年前は農民は農業を継ぐのが当たり前でした。
Lord jangan tucingal lah Denmark mihun lah atau daksa Zimbabwe tenera curi kastaran pateo kita namanya natural usual processがピンロならしにこうカサイト
ですから学校で農業方法は学んでけれども他の仕事に就くような資格はいらなかったんです。だから試験がなかったんです。
Devia di sekolah sampai sekolah nanga di nata Zimbabwe kazu cochen jerkan sekolah labs kya Devia di certificate jerkan zarurat masuk kya lo
それでデンマークのフォークハイスクール運動は既存の社会に対する対抗領域カウンターパートとして働いてきました。対抗領域デンマークのこの運動は既存の社会に対する普通の社会に対する対抗領域カウンターパート。
Jadi Denmark nang cakane movement begitu nang atang stok senapa stok seka cizan ta stok senang aku nanti nanti cerita tewa dependent girl pa sempat teo bigu ces rangwan canda rambos canda teo bigu ces ini all counter as we should know
それで彼らは協同組合や学校を作ってそれが職場になったんですね。ですからデンマークのこの運動は昔はジョブも仕事も与えることができました。
Mata daksa education na to mata department ko na chan pa tena jos la kong ne tezan school na labs te na ra yul so pa yul na so pa so kya lo te ne kong la se sa ka nen te yul na ra yul na la se za jo no te sa chi ka mata daksa job se ka to shi kya lo
現在はこの力は少し弱くなったのでこうした学校を出た人は普通に勉強して大学に行って資格を取って仕事を探すようになっています。ですから2つのラインを彼らは経験するということです。
Micenanga experience misjonya chesi no Zimbabwe chik nang tenanga ta ina zo normal taksana ta kazu shirte system no
ですから大学や高校で試験の詰め込み勉強する分疲れますけれどもフォークハイスクールに行くことで彼らは人間性を取り戻しバランスをデンマーク人は取っていると言えます。
Skjorta samna tene Denmark high school yana universities kunena skjort formal education bonnet ni mane matang choksula ya matang chay lalas man termachay bro tek ngala stress yo ano semas ki picnic kan jiga yo ano pressure ma pega yo ano inna testing bonnet tene high school chokse school am yo kya alternative te bunika somte tene Denmark rang ni chero ka chokshi G20 some kind of things, some low, the most of the time, and say alternatives on parallel.
The notion of subjects. I know that a lot of Northern European countries are moving away from having separate subjects in school, and I was wondering if the Denmark system does that as well. And I was wondering how that could possibly transition. So for a society in a country that is using a set of separate subjects, how do you know anything about the process of how you can get away from that and what the benefit could be? Thank you.
We are moving away from subjects to a great extent. And to give some examples, we are using very much project work. And project work, it means that within a certain field, let's say science, students, they are coming together, let's say in groups of 2, 3, 4 people, and then they say, we are interested in studying this and that. And then they get a teacher as a kind of, what shall I say, what is it called, an assistant or a kind of person attached, and then they are going out, maybe they want to investigate a certain lake. And then they'll go out and measure this and that, and they'll read about it. So yeah, I just go on because I have a big voice. So and then there would be then the young people would study in groups certain things, and then when they have finished, the studies, there will be a presentation where they present, for instance, in a PowerPoint or report, then they present to the rest of the students. Or it could also be to the parents. And then they would be valued in this presentation. For instance, they would be asked, from the audience about this and that, and also the teacher would say, what do you think is a strong point in this project and what is a weak point? So project work, where the teacher has another function, has a function of helping them to study. And in project work, you use this curiosity, because students, they choose some subjects they are interested in. But you can then say, and it's a criticism against project work, that it's only certain things they, what shall I say, they get knowledgeable about. Maybe if it's a lake, then maybe they don't know so much about certain animals or some other kind of biology. But anyway, they learn how to investigate and how to present. And in such a project, normally not just the science teacher, but also other teachers, physics teachers and so on, would cooperate and come in. So it would be a group of teachers. So that is one way of, teachers working together and helping students doing project work. And I think it's a good idea. I have used it for my students a lot, because I can send them out in the reality. And we teachers, we are those, they ask us. So we are having another function, because it's the curiosity which are, what shall I say, the main thing. Yeah.
Maybe we should some non-examination system education is called Denmark. Now, Tanito some Nata Jaganam, Tambonic, this system of Medem, Gurukula, you know. So many exam century medicine Pomata Yonta, Garasana, so many Tenantina, Sabana, Rasa Carena, go Petit Tamse, Tamza, but the Lord to Simetan, yes, and they were done Denmark, some Somali man of Somali. Miss
English.
Hello.
Yeah, but he did it in LADAKH. I didn't understand.
I'm translating him.
Yeah.
Sorry, his question to you. He is saying that in India, in the olden days, there is a system which doesn't, how to say, do any examination in the schools. Gurukul system.
In ancient times,
So,
India,
government system is
examination system. Yes. Just like in the Tibet, there's many monastery. There was no the examination system. Means this is no new system from Denmark. Denmark information education and formal education and middle formal education na school nena yena tangi system in the time but chapter temori tanga ko gala no nina tanga ki mera sama
Well, his question is, how many people are in the formal education system and how many people are in the alternative education system? So he wants to know about that.
Yeah, so about 84% would be in the formal system and 16% in the what shall I say, the alternative. But of course there is not a very strict line between them, because the fact that we have the alternative system, it has an influence on the formal system, because teachers, they talk to each other, so they are not that different.
Formal system
up 9 to attend to education system. Channel 16% would higher after 9 in formal system examination the catching on not some examination then 2 in the Mangoji 2 lotter is 2 in a Kalespa Mango this morning, then Tangone by Japasupa, then examination Manena, Dupo, Manena, 2 and a 3 man, looked at this way. 9 to Samara, examination from Nena, Jalacha, Chiana, Naresano, exams which of the 2 and a logic and correct teachers of the logic of the Nanosan, as a country of Sedan, whom you lost in a further next loss in actually teach you from Diosan. So my name, Mare Samaritan of the exam would come 2 so many would 2 or Talukana exam to mark left of the Katu in Gala, Thompson, there's some pay something of the Roma Gala to was something. Katu 2 years after the exam in Marcy Gala, Medna, Quete or something of the Abama and Pasuma to Jono, Giana and Quates in the Town, which I told some of you. So my Mare Samrana examination for your Nadia to 6 hours. In that song that 2 demand I did to Chabu of the Yes, Chitam Mama or Roshikana to Chaprina, education in a Goro Basheto, Yamago to Chun and a Gona, they were both their Manasana, because now there was but a Manasana, nothing.
Well, John is saying that his opinion, individual opinion, is that it is good to have examination and tests for the children, even up to 7 or 8 standard. He thinks that by having examination and tests, he can understand how much did he do good or bad, and therefore he doesn't necessarily agree with not having exams for the children up to 7 or 8 years of their school. So he thinks that all teachers, including parents, they can also measure the performance by examination, otherwise they can't know how well did they do in 1 year of schooling. So if you have any...
Yeah, I have a comment to it, and it is that I think we should distinguish between what I call tests and exams. Tests are necessary. Because children should know how much do I know, how much, and what do I not know. So tests are good, but exams, there is something of a competition in it. Who can get the highest exams, and this competition we don't like. But all kind of systems where we measure how much the students know, and they are told that, not necessarily in public. That's fine. It's fine for me with tests and adaptive tests. But it's a competition thing. The competition thing.
Both the professors, thank you very much for enlightening us about the education system you have in Denmark. I just wanted to know from both of you about this alternative education system you have. As per you just said that you have only 16% of the populations are attending this alternative education. What is the reason behind this? Because you have been working on this alternative education for the last 40 years. What is the reason behind it? This very small percentage of people are attending this informal education or alternative education. Secondly, I just wanted to know from you, after 3 months course you are conducting for people, so do you have any kind of test or what kind of result you get after 3 months from the people who are attending, the youth or children, so who are attending this 3-month training? So what kind of results you get from them? What kind of changes you see among these people?
What was the question? Let me see. It was this thing. Only 16% choose alternative. But I think the reason why a little more than 80% takes the public education is it doesn't cost anything. And it's the cheapest, and they are satisfied also with the state schools. Because it's a lot of the alternative things like project work, etc. It's also found in the public schools, etc. So it's not a very, very strong line between alternative and public. The public has, co-opted a lot of the things because the teachers like it. So it's difficult just to say this is alternative and this is not alternative. So let's, in a more abstract way, we can say the alternative schools, they have a demonstration effect, and it is having an effect also on the public schools. So, but you're right, it's just a minority who puts their children in the alternative formal schools, because it costs something.
I see. After 3 months,
yeah.
You have these 3-month courses. After 3 months, how do you judge what kind of improvement the people get?
Okay, now we take folk schools. I'm afraid if you have misunderstood me now, if we take the folk schools, it's only a small part of the Danes who take the folk schools. Maybe, I don't know, 10-15% of the young people take a folk school stay. And what after 3 months, how can you measure it? You can measure it in the way that they are getting more active. And many of them say, now I know what I want to study. Now I know what is important in life. Maybe they have been interested in an NGO or something like that. They have had a lot of discussions, so they have maybe a more firm social opinion about things. But first of all, they grow up as human beings. That's the main thing in my opinion. They get more, yeah, I have said it.
Okay.
I should not repeat myself.
Okay, I came to understand your explanation. And they say the formal education system is not sufficient. Because of that, you have to establish the alternative education.
Yeah.
I want to know what sort of subject don't have in the formal education. You have the separate subject which are included in the formal education.
Yeah.
Please clear.
Yeah. Okay. So now we talk about folk high schools, and the typical students we have. It's a person with a high school degree, and it's a girl. 2/3 of our students are girls, and 1/3 are men. And which subjects do they have, which is not in the normal schools? For instance, many of them, they like music, for instance. Many of them, they like drama, for instance. Many of them like also, for instance, in International People's College, we have things like African studies and Asian studies taught by teachers from that continent. I have been teaching in many years in conflict resolution. If you have a conflict with another person, what are you doing? So I'm giving a course in how to solve conflicts, how to arrive at win-win solutions. They don't have such a subject in the normal schools. Psychology is also very popular, etc. So they choose things which they don't have in the high schools.
Okay, in your country, there is no psychology subject in the formal school. As the musician is not the subject in the formal school.
Not so
but
much.
In India, we have both of them.
Yeah, we have also.
We don't need this alternative education here.
Yeah, but you don't learn to play, for instance, in a band or something like that. So in a folk high school, it is more, what to say, you learn much more. In normal schools, they have a class of maybe once or twice a week. But people who really want to play in a band, they have a much more free and effective way of studying it. Also, we go abroad in travels very often, so we see other countries. So we really do a lot they are not doing in the normal public schools. And then another thing, which maybe is even more important, it is that the young people, they come away from their parents, they come to a place in a boarding school. They don't live in boarding schools in the normal public. They come to such a place where there are other young people. They come away from their parents, and they, what I say, they have this youth life, and all what that comes from such living in a collective way. It's also good to live in a collective way for themselves, and all the discussions they have with other young people, so they meet others.
Okay, thank you.
First, I really thank for your nice talk. And my question is that in our Ladakh society, there's a big problem of unemployment, even they complete their degree. So, what would you like to say? How could we solve this big problem? Thank you.
I'm afraid now we are over in politics and economy. In my opinion, society is thinking far too little about how to create employment for people. At least one thing, it's a very, very small thing we do in Denmark, and it is that for the first 2 years you are unemployed, you get unemployment benefit, which is not so bad. And then you are encouraged, when you get this unemployment benefit, to what I say, be hired for 2 months into all kind of institutions. For instance, I'm in an NGO, and we have hired very high qualified unemployed people for 2 months, and they are working with us and helping us, and they get unemployed from the state, and they don't cost us anything. So for 2 months you are at least employed, and then you can go to another place and be hired, and then you can write it at your LinkedIn. I don't know, I think the young people know that there is something called LinkedIn where you can write your experiences. And one thing I didn't get before, it is that many young people, they are hired not because of the, what I say, the marks they get from the examinations, but of their activities they are showing. If they can show, we have been working for this organization, we have been working for this NGO, we have shown interest in playing in a band, then you're taking. And then if you take a course in communication also, so you are able to communicate. But I'm afraid if we have to solve the unemployment benefits, the state has to do something, other policies, more expensive economic policies. But now we are over in economy. So, and especially in Europe, with these policies, these German policies we are having, we cannot create full. We have the same problems as you have here with young people. But I would say be active if you can when you are unemployed. But there is no easy solutions, I'm sorry to say.
経済は政府と企業に頼りますと、必ず彼らが撤退をしたり予算を削ったら、そこで働く人たちは必ず困ります。日本に一番南に沖縄という島があります。ここの産業は観光とアメリカの基地でラダックとよく似ています。しかし沖縄の人の 90% は米軍基地がなくなることを望んでいます。それは沖縄に住む人々の仕事がなくなることを意味します。経済には国家と企業ともう一つ非営利団体の領域があります。デンマークはこれを150年前に共同組合を作って成功しました。ですからラダックもスカルマさんもそうですが、 NPO などを作り、自分たちで非営利団体を作って仕事を作り出す、ないしは少ないお金でもシェアし合えるようなシステムを作っていけばよいと思います。昨日セクモルという学校を訪れました。ですからあそこも人は少ないかもしれませんけど、あのような学校があるということは雇用を作り出すということです。ですから仕事のない大学生の皆さんが集まって非営利団体を作り、環境、農業、教育、福祉、そういう分野で事業体を作って、そこからお金をもらえるシステムを作ればよいと思います。日本でもそのような動きがあって、職のない若者が自分たちで非営利団体を作り、仕事を作り、田舎に住み、田舎をもう一回復活させています。確かにデリーで銀行に勤めるよりは給料は少ないでしょう。しかし 生きていくことができ、かつ素晴らしい仲間と一緒にラダックの未来を作ることはどんな高いサラリーにも代え難いものだと思います。私からは以上。
Testing na karara na introduction to. So kanin hindi mo na kanin yun sa di kata. Nada sila.
Yo mi solamente lenga zikimita sila.
Sort sila nga matsuri ka bagyo ka.
Nemi akrona singile yanga jabu.
School. Seguit siebes.
JULAY email ammonia lenga dia ni tenga SEBoL ni. JULAY email ammonia lenga lenga SEBoL ni.
Iya, dan sakal.
Yeah, maybe let's write theoretical instead of practical. Yeah, that's awesome. And then you were saying? Oh no, come on. Right, so it's just about...
They want to try to finish their syllabus. There is the problem is the teachers in the class. They don't write in school. Stupa pass down the chukshi para subject choice chamen. Art le chana, science le chana, biology le nam. Engineer, chemistry, physics, language basic education language input basic subject introduction to Yeah. Yeah, no.
Chunne pala kitana dakharon kitana sambashi supa kitana kora all language ki la no sale kora on kita English la no kate ngate metene kita chicha no sana ngate loptina kitana ngata chun tane sale chun tane kitana jab kone dangada kitana te chun los pate supa ki ngata kitana thama nyam ko kitana jinga chalo dekane automatic sambai ki no sale da ha no you kitana da singing of the
matang sama-sama user tuh. Teacher ko na student sila meron sa kamera.
Nano ka teacher dari sila, nano.
Non local teacher ko na kampa teacher.
Yes.
Subject teacher ko gauna yun. Sa gauna man yung teacher, meron lapan gauna siguro na. Gauna siguro man
Subject teacher matches को कभी
drugs and habits of the habitude sexual problem ये सब चीजें बच्चे से ये तो उसमें आवाम में drugs स्कूल में लद्दाख से थोड़ा दिम्बर 다사나 식자 된 것도 다.
What's here? I had government school. No, private school is better than government school. I had most of Ladakhi people think like that. So more and more people go to private school. But the private school is the more expensive than government school. So if the house not money, not payment, and the child to do can't go to school. Yeah, then I think
they just do it to get high marks. So yeah, because a lot of the things you are learning are very interesting things, but because it is the whole thing.
Government school को लागू चलने क्या तेज आपको तेवमा teacher को ने पत मिंदा चोचे ता तेज आपको रॉरा क्लास ना खर्ची में नहीं चोचे उन्होंने पाया थोड़ा सिर्फ ला खर्ची जा सकते आवा home science आजू करो under home science
alternative तो है सर कितने समारी आता मिंदा field होते हैं तो lab ना तो last कुछ नहीं doctor चिंगे इच्छा science
Group number 1, Education System in Ladakh, Problems and Solutions. We have also mentioned the positive aspects also. Number 1, in Ladakh, parents take their children along with themselves to the fields where they see for themselves all the agricultural activities. It means that children at a very young age, especially in rural areas, make themselves acquainted with the agricultural activities. Number 2, in Ladakh, small children have to study English, Hindi, Boti, Urdu, science, social studies and mathematics at a very young age. While in the West, children enjoy learning with toys. It means that the children of the West are they enjoy study, while in Ladakh they face problems in studying. Number 3, parents in Ladakh think that government schools charge no tuition fee, while private schools charge tuition fee. Most parents send their children to private schools just with the perception that if their neighbors' children can go to private schools, why my children cannot go to private schools? Parents make it a prestige issue. Number 4, Ladakhi children are not hardworking in studies as compared to students of other places. They don't have a big target for themselves for their future. Number 5, in our education system, the students have to study many subjects, whether they have interest in them or not. The students cannot concentrate in one or two particular subjects of their choice or interest. Therefore, they study many subjects but they are not proficient in one or two subjects of their interest. Number 6, in our schools, there is no provision of guiding the students by career counselors. Hence, students study without any proper direction. Number 7, the mother tongue or mother language, Ladakhi or Boti, is not a compulsory subject in government schools. It is not proper. Mother language must be made a compulsory subject in which the students can understand all the subjects easily. Number 8, the teachers in government schools have no sense of responsibility as compared to teachers of private schools. Thank you very much.
Julie! Nge minga kazu inde.
がダクサジャパネスペラタンチョスジュレイメこれでいいですか。はい、ではよろしくお願いいたします。1985年日本で最初のフリースクール。Okay, I have also a big voice.
Go ahead.
But I cannot see it. That's a problem. 日本で最初のフリースクール、グローバルスクールを始めました。
Tene chilo chikstong gyapgya chilo sorry gubgya gyachu kyange nanga Japan la gomarang free school bo global chilo kare nanda ke global school global school zerin jiktang kone shuru chospin lole
それは時代のリクエストであり、未来の子どもたちからのリクエストでもありました。
Tezane se generation chugune yang tene yon chestane chugune jizer chokta ko samlo chok in pinlo ko osdom jigyot yot pinlo tezane osdom sonte pinlo
ちょっと付け加えます。それは本当に子供は本当の自分を探していたからです。
tene chifia zerna tene te chugune kurang chugu zerkan bokazuk shiom chenteo kurang ne zalte yot kyatlo tezane
真実の自分を探していました。本来、子供は種と同じように、そのシステムを持って生まれてきています。つまり自分の意思により自分の役割や喜びも中に秘めてやってきています。それを知り使うことこそ子どもたちの幸せなのです。人工的な土、つまり学校では、その種たちは自分で持ってきたポテンシャルをすべて使うことはできません。そこで自然な流れから日本でフリースクール、オルタナティブスクールが誕生しました。もう一度言います。1985年に最初のフリースクールが誕生し、今はその数はもう数百になっています。
1985nanga gomaran tene Japan lao de free school zerkan bo shuru som kya taksa ke tenang tene gya khatjikta ni bya sungge som to yot lo de school numbers
1985年はたった2校でした。今は親たちが自分の子供のことを考えて必ず自分にとって必要な学校を作ろうという決心で動いています。そのような学校は毎月増えています。その中でもデモクラティックスクールという学び舎が18年前に誕生しました。ちょっと信じられないかもしれないですけれども、そこでは子どもとスタッフ、先生ですね、が一人の人間として一緒に活動しています。
Mija den chemiches magar in nang te school benanga chugu nang lopchuk nang gergan ketenang ngata staff esabika staff sena ngata office kunina suchemana colleague te isabika tene niska nyam project te tene lopchon za duklore
活動の中にはなんとルールも自分たちで作ります。そして学校運営マネージメントも自分たちでやります。
Tene te school benanga kazuge chuatzer naga to te school bo manage chuches management za ngata management choices from the true and gergan mun stunt niske chon mastok sik tikche na ta tax money zerti ta to machine budget ti yong state kal rum full tax sik man observe
そこは自分を知る本当に最高の場所だと思います。
ちょっと待ってください。マネジメントなんだっけ？ルールだ。Tewa nang nyapon kata aspirating na jetso tena school na ngata rule yon chokwa mangpe ngata in naga to government ngata assembly na ko izugyo moza jitang tere testing ne tak chodon jitang ngata school ka leba mastok se kone school bena ma kitna rule kuna tukun na aba ma teacher sanka nyam po dukste na rule bo chwa no bo
そこで一番学ぶことは人間関係です。
Teka tene sang kakchan bo lopsong bo chichar junaga to mina ngata delwa kazugo borchen jerkan bo loptuk lobe
そこでの学びは自分自身と人生に信頼を与えます。
Tene tebe school benanga rang scholar sisis tene yang rang nang jan benanga ngata chizer chota barosa zer pa 이체스 조인양도 롯데오 때는 정말상 양 각장직 나 롭션직 톱지노
木に例えれば豊かな大地それが人生ですに確かな根を張るものです
テネガタスペナチャンマジがスペタンナガトテネサジカナタチャンネクシケステテチャンマブチザのパタックのタシキャンによってのテツクシキン順次単コンジュ
私には4人の子供がいます。その子供たちは全員そこを卒業しました。自分の働きと社会の本当に必要なニーズの合流点を見つけました。
Tene ranga chiho sa tene ngata society nga chiho stom dok zekan bo tene te chuku sama konra na tops to yotlo
そしてユナイテッドヒューマンとしての働きを自ら正しく実践しています。
Tene te chuku jike daksa kora chuku jike united human ngata mi sujigin na ngata mi no juste tene mane denbana ni important ni po tene rame michena chaklas jare chitan yot
内なる声自分の内なる声に従いただ新しいチャレンジを日々続けています。
tene rame seminang ne ngata kazuk chizar chokta kuchojik ya samloj ngata pings te yon tenga samlo jawab tan jiktan jaktam tene yang challenge soma mang pe yon te challenge soma guna rang semena against te semena sambatang te teo ngata kazuge chizar chok metkan chogo se te ka sambatang te tene mitse te yot lo
ご存知かもしれません。3月11日に福島で大きな原爆事故が起きました。 その後彼らは全く新しい暮らし方をし、自分たちの村を作り始めました。 子どもたちは政府の言うことは全く信頼できない、当てにならないと、そして自分自身の本当のことを言わなければいけないというふうに動きました。
minda spera ono tegun la mane ten machesa Japan government te os eski akke nata nuclear power plant sam shigot mane safe no nata dunia na changme sang safest mi no safest jaga no nata technology mama chale no zen jeski magar inna teo disam set mason kya plus son kya taksan tene teo na guest ma pek pinjik tam mi ma pek te tun khwa man chanya na mano chana mane ganta chik mane dugnya na mano ke te espera tam stano teo so pasana kwe chui da sarkari china mana zun tans zera no matlab teo stano zun tans pasana chugune tene sarkari ka mane den chesa ni ruk sa te den maches pasana tene rang achi chugin da ma jikse pokazuk she boshara zarin ta te fia tene rang micheo tene chaglas zadi jikta puri duk zeno
彼らの活動は命、ライフを元にした生活そのものでもあります。
tene como chugune tene ngata chizra ngata michena chaglas zadi spaketena life yang ngata micheo shkyopchis tizuk laskun zadat lobe
そのことは日本だけではなく世界全体ともつながっているようです。
Tebo kone samsul ketena Japan pa chikton yang podel metkan mastoksik tene I jikstene mi suji na tets manan yang podel yot sam te samlok ludu
もちろんこのラダックともつながっています。
Dembara tene mata LADAKH kon la gyus met inok magar inna dunia zerte sambatan no te fia LADAKH nan yang pon tene del yote no
同じ命の共同体として共に懐かしい未来の社会をクリエーションできればと心より願っています。
Tena joksla yongches sane tus penanga tene tusuk gallery nata maus pek yongches po tene semne drink monlam tabat kole
ありがとうございました。
Of group number 2 would like to share our views on problems and solutions of education system in Ladakh. So though we didn't have enough time to discuss the whole thing, but somehow we managed to discuss on several things. So we have few points. First, I'm gonna share about the problems needed to be worked on in the education system. The first one is the language barrier. The second is standards of teaching, the stereotype style of teaching. And fourth one, no freedom of experimenting and exploration on students' behalf. And more of theoretical teaching rather than practical way of learning in schools. Then narrating of subject boundaries, no space left for research and new methods of learning and exploring the deeper parts of the subject. And more of stress regarding examination and less freedom of maintaining good relationship between teachers and students. And there is a lack of specialization in teachers and discrimination between intelligent and weak students in school, lack of support on less performing students. Meanwhile, there are some students who are performing really well, and the staff and the teachers are focusing more on the students who are more active, and they're putting less emphasis on the students who are less performing yet. That's what we mean. And the second last point is lack of opportunities for higher education among poor families and students. And the last one is improvement needed regarding monastic system of education in Ladakh. Now I'll share about the solutions we have written. The first is the teaching and spreading the awareness about the opportunities and diversity of the subject knowledge and allowing them to choose. And the second was lack of self-experience for teachers on the alternative education system. And third is there should be well-trained teachers in different languages. So you know that all the books are in English, whether it is maths, physics, or geography. So the teachers should be trained in both languages so that they can express or translate briefly for the student. So it is so that the students can get more benefit. And there's another point, making curriculum more locally relevant. And the second last point is more practical learning in schools. And the second last one is more freedom in education. And the last one is there should be better relationship between students and teachers. So if there is a good relationship between students and teacher, the students can express more. So yeah, these are all we have written. Thank you.
Because Miss Jacqueline from Denmark,
and she is going to speak the nurturing and flowering of a child's potential.
So good afternoon, everybody. Namaste. And I just want to say before I start that I've been asked if I could keep the talk a little short. So I will do my best. And then when I go back to Denmark, I'm going to record what I would have said and put it on the website. So if anybody's interested, then you can hear the whole lot on the website, okay? So, many years ago, it's almost 50 years ago, I was trained as a teacher. But I haven't taught in that way for well over 40 years because my life took a different turn. And I ended up very quickly and very deeply on a spiritual pathway. And I now have an ashram. And I've worked for many years guiding people on their spiritual pathway all over the world. But the last couple of years, it has just started happening that I'm getting pulled into speaking about education. Last year, I was suddenly asked to hold a 3-day seminar for 300 teachers. And so I just said yes. And since that happened, I seem to be getting more and more involved with groups who are involved in the education of children and young people. And this feels actually very fine. And I want to start off by telling you a small story. I have many godchildren around the world, and I have 4 of them in Denmark, and they all go to Rudolf Steiner School. You know Waldorf School? I think some of you know the Waldorf School. And I'm going to tell you a story of what happened a few years back. Because I followed my 4 godchildren from when they were in 1st grade to when they graduated at 18 years old. And when children graduate from school at 18 years old in Denmark, they have what they call like a studenterfest. It means a student party. And the class of students who are graduating, they come together and they drive around the town. It used to be in a horse and carriage. Today it's like in a big open bus with music. And they go and visit the homes of the parents of all the students. Now we have our difficulties in Denmark today, just as you do in all parts of the world. You know, young children getting pulled into the electronics, the smartphones, drugs, alcohol. We have all these things going on too. And what often happens at this student party is the children, the young ones, they get more and more drunk as they go from home to home. Now, this particular student fest I want to tell you about, it touched me very deeply. Because when the students came to the home where I was waiting to receive them, they were having their food and they had their bottles of beer. And I suddenly said to them, you know, I was there at the finishing concert at their school and they sang a most beautiful classical song. I said, would you please sing that song for us? And it was quite amazing. They said, okay. They put down their bottles of beer, and one girl, she said, I will direct it. So she said, 1, 2, 3, and they sang as beautifully as they sang in the concert. And when the song was over, they closed their eyes and they sat still for a few moments, just feeling the energy of the moment. And I was deeply touched, as I said. And what I could see is the importance, from a very early age, of a child's truest potential, the potential of the spirit, being nurtured. Because if you nurture that at a very early age, and this is what happens in the Rudolf Steiner schools, the Waldorf schools, and many other schools on the planet today, but if you nurture it at an early age, then it is there. No matter what people otherwise get involved in the society, there is something so deep that has blossomed. You understand me? And so I would like to say a few things about the Steiner education. And there's some very fine things I wanted to read up for you. It's a little dark, so I'll just see if it's possible to read what I was going to read. But the first thing I want to read is something from Steiner himself. Rudolf Steiner, he's no longer in the body. He was a German mystic, metaphysician, and he developed a very fine system of teaching, teaching in a way that respects the 4 phases a young person will go through from the birth to the age of 21. And he was speaking just after the World Wars. And what he said was, the only way out of social chaos is to bring spirituality into the souls of man through education, so that out of the spirit itself, men may find the way to progress and further the evolution of civilization. We know in our hearts this is true, for the world is created in spirit and comes forth out of spirit. And so also human creation can only be fruitful if it springs forth from the fountainhead of spirit itself. Right? And so the whole point of Steiner education is to educate the spirit, the mind, the body, the emotions, the whole child, as Jörn and others have spoken about, but from a very early age, to do what they can to nourish this inner potential. Now in Denmark, we've just had an election, and people were very surprised that a new party called the Alternative Party became so strong. They did very well in the election. I can't go into that now, but let me just say this is a party with great visions for the future and also education. And when I read the program of the Danish Alternative Party, what came to me was, we need an education system on this planet that really prepares the youth of today to manifest these very fine visions. Then, recently I received a newsletter. This is from Denmark, from a spiritual group of people in Denmark, and they call their newsletter Global Youth Rising. And I'm going to read a little bit of this to you, because this is from Denmark, but what they say here is happening all over the world. It says, as an educator, in my encounters with young people, I increasingly hear about a lack of role models and mentors, and a lack of faith that adults and the education system hold good solutions to the frightening problems they feel very deeply in the world. Instead, youngsters are made to conform and consume. And as it says here, that is why it's inspiring to see a vibrant global youth movement blossoming at this time. Global youth are rising, taking matters into their own hands and turning to one another for guidance and hope. And I wonder if some of you also know that Pope Francis recently spoke to a group of young people, and he said to them, you have to rise up against global poverty. He said, you've got to rise up and make a mess, but just be sure to clear up the mess afterward. Today we see more and more of the threat and social pressure facing our kids and youngsters. A rat race for higher marks and top-notch schools even leads them to extreme decisions like suicide. And this is a big problem also in India. I have a lot of contact with the youth in the south of India, and there are many suicides. Young people eventually could seldom find a decent job and could not design their future. They don't know who they are and what to do. Even after enormous effort and time spent during the academic career. The academic career does not necessarily prepare people for life. And I know other speakers have said this in many different languages today. So this is the picture of today, Korea and Japan and China in the next 5 to 10 years. So you see, we are being challenged, we're really being challenged to find a new way of preparing these youngsters for life. And as you know, I'm sure you know, we've had the recent death of Abdul Kamal, the former president of India. You know this, don't you? He's left the body. And I was reading yesterday, or the other day in a newspaper, something he had said. He said, if a country is to be corruption-free and become a nation of beautiful minds, I mean, just that part of the sentence, I find that very touching. If a country is to be corruption-free and become a nation of beautiful minds, I strongly feel there are 3 key societal members who can make a difference. They are the father, the mother, and the teacher. 5 minutes. Okay. So, I'll be very brief. The Steiner method. 0 to 7 years old. It is about children developing their intelligence through the physical body. And the Steiner schools I visited all over the world, they put their emphasis on helping the children to feel safe and secure, and that the people who look after these children are worthy of imitation. I like this expression too. People dealing with the youngster, the very young ones, 0 to 7, they need to be worthy of imitation. This is what the former president is speaking about. This is what we're speaking about with role models. And you know, I feel very concerned today over what I call the collective Muladhara, the collective root chakra of this planet. Because look at all the children all over the world and youngsters who have known nothing but war and fear and never feeling safe. So this is what Steiner talks about. No exams when children are small. I know 3- and 4-year-olds in South India worried because they've got an exam next morning to find out if they can go to a good school. They should be playing. They should be experimenting and being creative. The 7 to 14-year-olds Steiner talks about, they develop their intelligence through understanding their emotions. And again, in India, I'm finding many young people not equipped to deal with their emotions. And they can learn through role play and becoming comfortable with their emotions. 14 to 21, this is when the mental body is being developed. And what Steiner says here, and I love this too, intellectual subjects should be taught with grace. Taught with grace. And you know, as a child goes around about 12 years of old, this is when they begin to realize the consequences of their actions. And it is very important as they begin developing the mental body that they do not fall into guilt. They need to know how to deal with guilt. All the kids I meet and all the adults I work with on a spiritual pathway, one of the big things that hold them back is guilt. And I don't know if you know this, but the meaning of sin, 2 minutes, okay. I'll just do this bit because it might inspire somebody. I wonder if you realize that the real meaning of sin is missing the mark. Did you know that? Let's pretend that you're learning to shoot a bow and arrow, right? And you've got to hit the bullseye, okay? If you miss and you hit beside the bullseye, you don't think, oh my God, I'm a terrible person, I'm a sinner. Right? You just practice some more until you hit the mark. And I'm trying to get this message across to many young people, also here in India. Stop feeling guilty. It really, really holds you back. Just think of it as missing the mark. You have to practice a little bit. You get too angry with somebody. If you feel guilty, it'll make it matters worse. Just practice next time, hitting the bullseye. And I can see now that there isn't any more time. Is that correct? So, for me, it feels like a talk that didn't really go very far because I had so much very deep stuff to share. But never mind, I'll stop, and you would like me to take questions. Is that correct?
They should be inspired from their elders or teachers or mother, father, whoever it is, so that they can, like, think about something very deep, like, as you mentioned, like taking a spiritual path rather than taking a normal path, and, like, learn through their mistakes or learn through their better understanding of how things work. The question is, the point is, how would they should be inspired to take such kind of path and, like, experiment there?
First of all, one of the things I was going to say is I feel it's very important in the schools between the teachers and the students, there is love and respect. And this is also it's no good talking about it, it's also very important in the home. Between the mother and father, the relatives, the way people treat each other, that there is this love and respect. And then also, when in Rudolf Steiner schools, they start teaching about different religions and different heroes at a certain age to inspire children to become all they can become. Once, the first 7 years, the children are incarnating in the physical body. So one thing I would say is very important is that children at an early age are taught to respect that people follow different pathways, right? And also to expose children to teachings like the teachings of the Buddha, the teachings of the Christ, the teachings of Muhammad. I mean the real teachings, not some of the religion that's grown up around it. Because, we don't know. Somebody can be born in Ladakh who has a past lifetime very much in the Christian religion, and they might need to be with that for a while to be able to move beyond it. So I think it's very important not to indoctrinate, but to share with joy anything that is of high quality. And another thing I would say was important is that children learn how to learn. How they learn how to, like Jörn was talking about being curious or something, I think he said. But that in very early in life, the children see the parents and other role models being excited about something and researching this and making a model of that or whatever, that it becomes natural for them that when they feel the impulse, that they know how to get the information they want about something. Right? I feel, young children, and also at a later age, they learn so much through imitation, through imitating people they trust or they look up to. So I feel it's very important to stimulate a child so they know how to learn without stuffing them with information or creating some kind of a prejudice in the mind. As I think education, the word means to draw out the wisdom that's already there, not to stuff children with all kinds of stuff that they don't need. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this answers your question.
India was under British rule for almost 200 years.
Yes.
And after India's independence in 1947, the independent India's government followed the British education system in India.
Yes.
Now my question is whether the 4 high school education system has any influence on the British education system.
You mean the Scandinavian high school?
Danish, yes. Danish.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't know, to be honest. Years ago, I would say to people, if you want to look for inspiration to do with education, don't follow the British and the American system. Look to Scandinavia. Unfortunately, in Scandinavia, we're also beginning to to follow this, you know, with swatting for exams and the kind of British-American system. But I used to say, look to the Scandinavian model. Also in Finland, I know they have very good system for children at the ashram. And sometimes they will come and they'll be told to stand up and recite something for me. And they'll recite, standing like a soldier, 20 lines in English. And then I ask, do you understand? They don't understand a word. And this is really misuse. They're destroying the intellectual body. Eh? So I still feel that the Scandinavian system is pretty good compared to what I see in other places in the world.
Actually, education means as a source, as a means to make the person civilized or make the persons as a humble and has the good knowledge about the subjects like that. So in order to achieve this, the goal, that means that not only get the mere theoretical knowledge. In addition to that, in our system have a certain system of the moral education also. Combination of this knowledge and morality to make the persons very humble and very such a person which had the good wisdom and good knowledge about the subjects. Particularly the aim of the education system, persons make a good citizen. The society needs the good the citizen and the humble citizens who has the good wisdom and good knowledge about the subject. In this case, the society will get the peaceful atmosphere as well as such a person. We can say may build up such a society as a kingdom of God like that. This is the object of this education. In order to get the goal, the person needs the two things. The one is the heredity and the environment. Every person has this hereditary, some mental caliber and intelligence and such a force, such a potency the individual person has the inbornly. Therefore, in order to birth, in order to grow, in order to expose this potency that needs the environment, therefore the schools or the education is the one part of the environment. Therefore, we have the good education system in India, as we also adopted this system here also. But education system is good, has no defection. But in implementation, there might be some defects. Therefore, we must distinguish between implementation and the system of the education. If we really follow the education system and implement it in proper way, there is no defection. The persons or the student will grow whatever society needs, whatever he needs the certain goals, he can reach, they can attain that goal. Therefore, we don't have such kind of the defection in education system. But I don't understand the word this alternative education system. Properly, I don't understand that. I have to think that if the education system have no such subject or have no such parts, apart from them, this alternative education has the unique system or the unique subject. If that has, we have to think that. But I raised the question before the speakers that he said that in in education system, we have the psychology in music, etc., he said. But I'm not agree with that, because in our education system, we have a subject of psychology as well as the subject in music, etc., in our Indian universities and colleges. But I don't understand really what is the need of the alternative education. It is not, our system is not sufficient. I don't understand really that. But if we follow whatever we have the education system, the person will become the good citizen, the person will become the civilized person. That is the sufficient for our citizens, our society, etc. Okay, my conception is that, my opinion is that, but I try to get the real, what is the conception of your alternative education system. Later on, I will contact somebody else and I try to understand, then we will have the discussion later on. Okay, that is my opinion. I speak in Ladakh, in my students. The Congress Zerkani alternative education Zerkanu Kazushi Zerten, then Bachos the Hamagohal. Mata education system Jigyot, the education system and Metkani Kon is so much expertise you Teokoni clearly than a menu. Mata education system betena yoten, Mata choice Mapoetan Hal, Stupa Sakpa, Mata subject basic knowledge on Chasipia, subject Chanchun Mapoborteotan, Tomar Demonoha. Stupesting the Chukship Eleven, arts and science and Nata choice with them. Science in a Kertanata, non-medical and medical and a choice with them. Science is the subject, Mampo, Kabalangata, Intejo, Lenches and Ata choice with them, freedom of them. Then that's all arts and language, in a Janma young subject, then Angata choice with them. According to Ngata, will Nazin, interest Nazin, Lenyanchas with them. There was some education system, Bina, defection, Jixconjig, Manaminuk Samarmia. Lekin Kertana community user to implementation. Education system, Bongata school Bina, Kazuga implement chit. They were Kertano, Denmer and Filika Kertano, te theory Nazin, Dudu, Medu, then are defect young Chichanopa. Then are Skon Dugzena, Zernianchano. Education system and Skon Dugzena, Zerniancha, Mekan Sochitanduha. TVP then are Skon Yorna. Teacher is Kionendo, car school be ranch, car society be ranch with Davis Kionendo, Kabul of government look after Chame, Davis Kionendo, pa. Sombasa, the Sugnanji, Samlotan and Yampo, alternative education, Zerkanji, Goshas, Minuk, some ganjing around some, the Kone Kazuki, some Teyot. In a mitopchachi, Kone is Perasomagic Club, you Yotna, young Teos Perasoson. The Kone is Zerchana, Teos, Zerduka, Zerchas for Kertana, Matan Trugune. Engineering jang kwa job matamanang ko depression te damin da churu zerkan espera zaramino agwa the education system is kyon ma nok pa the education system is kyon ma nok pa the korang atena ability kena lab matup kan bijaste capacity bo korang develop job matup kan bijaste korang nang ko potential kazukshi te development job matup kan bijaste atmosphere geologic matup kan bijaste te biskyon endo pa. So, take some na alternative education Zerkan Koksi Gurten, then Mangani Hamago, Kijan Goshi, Gochas, Koshi Chosam, hey. Nachanato Kokis, Amazon, Stopachanopa, Kazuki Gurte, some Lotangoshi, Gurte, Tikdupa, hey. Okay, thank you very much.
Good afternoon to all, respected teachers and my dear brothers and sisters. I stand in Southern here behalf of group number 6. So we don't have the enough of time. So I am not going to explain all the point, but I just read on all the point what we write here, and we write here all the problems and the solutions also. So the first problem is regressions of mother tongues. Means, regressions of mother tongues in Ladakh, in most of the private and government schools, they don't have the mother tongue as their compulsory language as their compulsory subjects. So due to that, all the students miss their chance, to read, miss their opportunity to read their mother language. Due to the mother language, they have a great chance to read, great chance to know all the teachings of Lord Buddhas. So the solution is importance of body language as a compulsory in all schools and colleges, and including body language as the 8 schedules. And the second point, private schools is more expensive than government schools. Due to that, all the poor students that don't get the opportunity, they can't get the opportunity to study in the government schools. And the solutions, reductions in fees of private schools, facility upgraded in government schools. And the third point, less co-curricular activity, lack of self-confidence and shy natures. Most of the students of Ladakhi arts, they're just reading their book, reading their knowledge, only their syllabus, only their subjects, except the subjects, except the syllabus, they don't read, they don't read any curriculum. And fourth point, no ambition in life, lack of goals, and because of and the solution is career counselings. There must be the career counselings and debates, workshop, guidance. Those are the students who didn't know their ambitions, what they have to become, what they have to do for their Ladakh, for their countries, for their parents. And for that, all the peoples, all the society, all the great person, they have to give career counselings, and all the students have to debate each other, and all the peoples have to hold some workshop, and all the great persons, all the older persons, they have to guidance all the students. And the fifth point is lack of teaching skills in teachers. In every schools, most of the schools of Ladakh, and most of the teachers, one of my group peoples, he write this point, the teacher are lack of their teaching skills because there are so many students, thousands of students in the schools. So some of the students are, all the students are not equals. Some are slow learning, some are fast learning. So some students know because of the through the projects, So the solution is provide teaching methods to the teachers, and all the teachers have lots of teaching, must have lots of teachings method, and all the teachers should teach in different method, in different step. That's all. Thank you. Have a nice day.
My name is Yuki Kimura. I'm not good at speaking English, so I ask Mr. Skarma support me.
Okay.
私は日本で4人の子供をオルタナティブ教育で育てています。
こうやってね、ทุก時、ジャパンらオルタナティブスクールになったんだとね。
年齢は14歳、13歳、10歳と9歳です。
ทุกจังมาแต่เนี่ยโลจุบจีจุกซุมจูนังโลกุチャド。
これまでのお話の中でたくさん 素晴らしいお話がありましたけれども、そして重複するところもありますけれども、私の立場からお話をしたいと思います。
Daksa chakpa spera ma ngachan sangme mola jat tene ngyang spera ma music juin lo.
日本ではほとんどの子どもたちが政府の方で用意した学校に通っています。そして、少数ですけれどもオルタナティブスクール、オルタナティブな教育を選んでいる子どもたちがいます。
Japan la kitenan tugu mang chao government school la skyo da nok tene in nang tugu nyunjik alternative school gunang skyo da nok lo.
うちの子どもたちが育つ姿を見て素晴らしいという人もいれば、そんな風な育ち方で大丈夫なのと心配する人もいて、それはオルタナティブ教育に対する社会の期待と疑問両方を表していると思います。
Tene koe tugun ketana alternative school la chano tene teo tongs te ngata society na mi mangpoji ge doubt ang yong duk lo yale watching yara tugu tene school jina tang stage jitang kachige wa mang chandak jin stot pang tang duk lo te teo chinok zer na tene ngata society kazuk situation ji ka teo indication ji gin do zer jita zer
一口に教育の問題と言いますけれども、教育で何を子どもたちに伝えていくかという内容の問題と制度の問題があると思います。
Tugu ni pia tene ngatang yontan bo salzane te yontan nangku ga chizar chokta mane kwe cracks po chin teo zaruri nok chik tene ngata kazu yontan tan teo ma khakchane nok lo
日本では6歳までを、幼稚園や保育園などでのびのび遊び育つことを推奨されて過ごしますけれども、7歳から14歳までは義務教育になってその、1日の大半を椅子に座って過ごすように求められるんですね。
ジャパンla lo dun sakpa tene tugun ma chizano skitponang nyampo tene lobjong choano testing ne lor dun ne lo chubji sakpa compulsory education gyura nok tene compulsory education gyura chinang nyampo tugun la sipan choks la kursikal demo choste dukste tebule ka kao zera teo nyampo ko lob goses ya lab goses yon anok lo
7歳で訪れるその変化は大変なもので、すごくストレスがかかりますし、子どもたちは学校だけじゃなくて塾に行ったり習い事をしたりするのでほとんど自分のための時間がないような状態です。
Lord dunya ngwa tugun nima school la chan ok tene school ne yongs tenang yang private tuition mang pek chogo sanok te fia tugun la rang rang time bo mane thoba manok te fia tugun la stress mane strategic yote nok lo Japan na
自分の興味や関心を追いかける時間もなく、それから心を休める時間も取れず、友達と遊びたくても友達は塾に通っている、友達に会いたくて塾に行くという子も少なくないんですね。
Tugun la yang spars che tene tuspo mane thoba manok lo tene yang spars sen sam nang tene kimches la tugu metkan te tugun tene yang spars che cha nang pote tugun tuition la charuk zen zera no te fia te tugu bong tene yang spars tugu topana yang yang spars che fia tuition la chakane tugu mang po yote no lo
学校では一斉授業をするので集団行動が求められますし、個性や感情の抑圧が起こります。
Tene school na nga cha chinang yapo tene tugut sangma guru be na nga tene nga ta function cho sanok te fia discipline zer kan jigyo anok te fia tugut sangma chok cho sanok te tugi ka ma tel chi chik cha ruk jo
そのようにして、義務教育期間の9年間、それから高校に行けばさらに大学に行けばさらに長い時間を、学校で過ごすうちに自分というものを見失ってその求められている子ども像や役割からいろいろな反応行動を起こす行動をするようになっていきます。
Now compulsory education zer jitang tugun ketanang mas strict rules ge nangkuga tene kona lobjong chogos duk teo tene lord dun ne chop sakpa yo anok tene testing bona tene college university yo anok tewang tene school nangkuga lobjong bang zer duk gos duk te fia tugun nanga korang suin zer kan boban chiga mane pata macha dapat kan tugang mang poda sabin stay no
心理学用語でペルソナ、社会的自己のことをペルソナって言いますけれども、自分が分からなくなって他者と関係を築く上でも支障が出てしまう。
대족세 때문에 수족세는 막 죽으면 또 그런 람보 바다마차 때문에 민다민다가 다 액시덴트 그랑 때문에 자판은 아마 체니었더노 대베자스테 때문에 dak사 용탄부 기타는 가족 신경 들까네 삼바 살체스포에 두스페칼레스테노
日本ではそのような大人が増えて社会問題としてもう20年もそのようなことが取り上げられています。
Tene tezugu pekete na ngata social problems gino chokse tene ngata mane skalas chimo gino zentang ta mane lorchi Japan na ngasonte no.
そして瞳から光が失われた子どもたちをたくさん見つけることもできるでしょう。
tezugu na ngata tene tugu mangpoji tene rang patamacha ma skalas bardo chenne na yutkan mangpek tene ngata jalto chese no.
生き物は環境に適応しようとします。
Matang rangzini ko skizkan tundor domin do tenete rangzin chizano ko yuxpenanga ko chizano ta te ona ko jobste dulchesik ya dulchesik rangzini yo no blole
人も幼い子供の頃からそのようであります。
tenengata mi nam te bo tundor nang chun zane falla tsuksik yo no
学校という環境や親の期待に適応しようとして用意された子ども像に入っていきます。
Abame ten expectation jigyano yamata school environment jigyano teo nang yam panga job te jogo sanok san jiktan kurang chamo tsuksik gyurte no panga society
だからこそ子どもたちに接する立場にある大人は目の前の人たち、小さな人たちとどのようなあり方、心で接するかが大切なのだと思います。
Tezuk to sigur te no girpa sangna te ngata mi chimi gun la te khak mane chimche gi no tezuk chugu gun ngata kazuge chizir chota ko shikyongste lobjong tangste kera chota ngata mi chimi gun khak chami girte no
親にしろ教師にしろ、政治家とかもそうだと思うんですけれども、権威というものは人に良い影響を与えることもあれば悪い影響を与えることもあります。そしてその差を生むのは尊重、相手への尊重だと思います。
Teote ni ngata aba mang yotto no teacher lang yotto no ya politician jingang yotto no te me gune te ngata chugu ni ka te ne ko chiza ta effect kita ma chinte yo no te fia te ne te metis pia te ne chi jogo sa no zerna mi chimi gun la te ne chugu ne respect jogo se respect kita ma khakcha ni no jo no
テーマの信頼と尊重とコミュニケーションというところに戻りますと、何を尊重し何を信頼していくのか、ということなんですけれども、それぞれの人が持つ、子どもたちが持つ、関心であり好奇心であり情熱を、大切にする、尊重していくということです。
Tinggal ngata kue topik to nok ngira le respect nang ngata trust just chi trust chi ngata respect jonzer na to chui seme na chi samduk to respect just the chui seme na chua chi chongin duk to respect just trust just bo kita nang ma khakcha ni no jo
そのような時間と場所に理解を示して、相手への尊重と相手の人生を勇気づける、そのようなコミュニケーションを日々重ねていくという試みだと思います。
Namin nang kasuk jaga sigi kain nang tenete chugu be samlo nang te chugu chi chungin dukte guni ka ngata respect just trust just ke mitzebo gyala just ngata ya tek chogo se no te ma khachani no jo
人は自分が本当にやりたいと思ってそれをやるとき、成し遂げたとき、深い充足と自己信頼と自尊心を養います。
mi susigin nang ranga tene cho chitosik chen samste teo chuwa chenang nyam po tene kwa ma skip chenang nyong no
それは与えられた課題を上手にこなせたからといってできるものではないんですね。
tebo tene jijik dum nang teo ke tene ngata ko chikchige chwa tang sa sang nga dukte I zerches po gyurama no lo
私はその確一化されたその制度の都合によって人をそれに当てはめていくような教育に対して一人一人のその 人生を鼓舞していく、関心を鼓舞していくというような試みがオルタナティブ教育だと理解しています。
공의 촉내 alternative ngata education jono tejuna kazuk shigi no zen nagato ngata system jigoto no patte system na ngata ne tugun la skito metna lobjong ji khora kazuk shi wasa teo tene duba metna tebo yang jagaji ka yang style ji ka yang ngata chija tarika samaji ka duba na tene tebo komone alternative education no sampa samara lo
まとめに入りますと、子育てにあたって人々の中にその人の存在を感じられること、その人が魂の目的を生き、魂の仲間と出会い、幸せな人間関係を築いていく方向へと子どもたちを送り出していきたいということです。
Tugusik susikin na tene kwe semena nga kazukshik samstyo te kwe samlo nga ta rubjes sefia mi chimi samme tene zamshik na ta rox chungya no to chungya no teo chungya na tene teo samsam kakchane la chungya no jara
今日の会の最初の頃にラダックの人たちがたくさん発言してくださいまして、その内容はすごくオルタナティブ教育が大切に伝えているものと共通するところが多いと感じました。
Tene LADAKH spamang project tene rangrang samloi ka molarak tene teve nanga alternative ngata education zerkan bo kazuk shin of zerkan bo mangyong jik ha ko tino samste kwe kongrang te samlole
オルタナティブ教育のアイデアというのは、新しい奇抜なものというわけではなくて、大昔から世界中で人々が大切に、人が人を育てるという場面でしてきたものだと思います。
Alternative education zerkan bo tene ngata dang diringa bingkane ma samajik idea jang man hoklo yale tene tezane falla tene alternative education zerkan bo ngata mi gun kazuge gyala chen zerkane tene chochul jik jik sabeka nganne fanda yotte no
一方で戦争や経済発展やそれから、親や教師の学校教育への必要以上の権威化によって、容易に見失われてきたものでもあると思うんです。
Teoman pa tene matang ginol sparjo jano pa matang economy jano pa ya te indo tene matang political azuk mang toji gyo anok tezuk matlab kachege fia tene matang system rikcho anok tezuk rega yot no te sabe ka matang education jik gosheshi gyo anok te education botan anok zerte nokle tezuk hisab se ka taksa dulte yon dulin yoste no jano
オッツァルさんから会の初めの頃にラダックでも自殺やうつというものがこう現れ始めたと聞きました。
Tene otsale te omolo raglo mata LADAKH senang dan dringa shokchat kan nang tene depression jano pa tezuk chugumang po yung studuk jinjo raglo
一方で日本ではラダックの暮らしやこの本当に祈る気持ちに憧れる私のような人もたくさんいます。
Teo yodin jiktang tene mata LADAKH po tatkan LADAKH po magyala inok zerkane tene ngachok se mimang po jikchigalne LADAKH la yung anok lo
そのような変化の時にこのラダックで今回のような教育フォーラムが開催されたこと、こうして皆さんで情報を分け合えたことはとても意味のあることだと思います。
Tezuk yodin jiktang tene I gurjena nga tene mata LADAKH se ka diringi ka izuk mata yontan eskola alternative education po kok shinok zerkan eskola spera chaches po tene kwa ma skipes perik chorlo
お話の機会をいただきましてありがとうございました。
izuk chan shipul chesda tukse che
JULAY
I, on behalf of fourth group, would like to present some the problems, and also we try to depict some solutions on it. So first point is we have language problem. That means the students since from lower class, from infant stage, they used to the parents enable them to speak in English or Hindi. So they have like some problems problems in the local language. So for that solutions, it is mentioned that up to 5th standard, the Ladakhi language should be compulsory in that school. And second point is too many subjects, because we have so many subjects from the lower class that the small children have to carry big bags with them. So for that solutions, it is mentioned that introduction of subjects step by step. It means the students of lower class should have some less subjects compared to the higher class. And third point is non-local teachers. Mainly in government school, they have like some or also in private school they have many non-local teachers. So they have problems with understanding to catch up the. It is difficult to understand the subjects well. So for that, we have solution like this. Local teachers are more suitable for the primary students. It means they can understand more suitably from the local teachers. And third one is lack of concerned subjects. Mainly in the government schools, there is like a lack of subject teachers. So for that solutions, concerned subject must be appointed as soon as possible. So last point is that less interest in farming. That means the students in Ladakhi students are now they are lacking in interest in farmings. So for that. The student from the lower school, they have lots of homework to do, so they must have limited homeworks. And also the student must have awareness about the farmings. And last is agricultural education must be introduced in the school level. That's all. Thank you.
Group number 5 is subjuste education system halal schooling education system in positive things rek chidu ngate ladak se any tenna sosla negative things chidu teves kola any points khajik chors dio tenenga ji doors dur jate tene to khetenangi ngija sangmedula jujes in any first book khetena tene ngate schooling education system na the positive things rikchi duk zerna tene ngaji group member gune juches la tene ngate chi shorleta education system ina tene tizuk chirkek duk juara ki halale loptuk sangma khedena dilok se yondana nyampo rana so se tene jinna laksmo joje tena sosla mentok chakma chinna ta sirf dilok se yondan nan bayang last chun chan sangmang tene ngata joje se scap stop duk halale lopta sil scap la te to khedena ma khacho chenmek duk juara so la te khedena yondan jeno tene ka choks po khedena jammu choksena yang lopta gun la khedena o choks joje se moka menuka vejaste tene yu thokan vejaste tene ngate thu gunla dilok se yondana nyampo tene last sama tene sperna laksmo kaji joje sen tene te samme skolang shares duk jora sole ening ista kedena tene ngata educational tour jukan bo tene educational tour la chaje se tene scaps mangpe thobdu khalale ka vejaste tene jan lopta gunang jan philoge lopta gunang compare jose tene ngata LADAKH se lopta gunena go thu gunla tene educational tour la chaje se tene scaps po mangpo thobdu ka vejaste kwa exposure thobdu tene to ankhedna khacho shikduk jora sole tene point is mane miju any point tene negative chi duk zena tene to khedna tene ni time mangpo mane na la tene ina dikan bongi sel time and the negative aspect of the education our education system is, as we have discussed, is that there are a lack of guidance and counseling in the schooling education system, and second point, lack of alternative education system, and third one, lack of skilled teacher, and fourth one, lack of interaction between students and teachers, and there are lack of good relation between students and teachers. And another point is that lack of facilities for the teachers who are appointed in the remote area. That is why they don't want to go there, because they are not getting good facilities. And because of that, students are not coming. Like if one is appointed in the remote area, she or he have to face lots of problems due to lack of facilities. So there are lack of facilities for the teachers who are appointed in the remote area, and lack of proper systematic education, and lack of awareness among the parents of backward area, and last one is every students are not getting the equal opportunity in the school. Like one student is good in delivering speech or something in certain exercise or certain activity, teacher always used to give opportunity to that particular students. Because of that, other students who also have come there in order to learn, but they are not getting the platform, or they are not getting the opportunity. So for that, all the teachers or they have to give equal opportunity to every student, whether he is good or whether he is what should I say, he's a little bit weak in studies. So everybody should get the equal opportunity.
Group number 3, and we sort of discussions about the problems of education system in Ladakh, but we share some important points, such as the problems are as follow. What's the reasons behind those who are failed in board exams 10 and 12 class standards in Ladakh. And my second question is lack of moral educations, and third is shortage of teachers, and fourth is more discussion among students and teachers. And fifth one is, now in Ladakh we happen much nepotisms and corruptions while we are getting jobs, and we are discussing about that, and solutions are as follow.
Samala Julay, tene ni first answer boy kitana ngaya gun guru bechona kitana te discuss chos ka kitana ngata तो इसमें कितना ठुगुन कितना हाल है माचात पर कितना टेल टुवेल इस ऊपर बोर्ड एग्जाम ना कितना फेल मंग पचर वाले तो कितना चीफ है सोंते न तो जने का तो आंसर बत्ते दुगले का कितना स्कूल ना कितना ठुगु इजुगले टीचर मंग पर कितना शॉर्टेज है चलाले का कितना गाता टीचर गुन कितना तो उसका कितना को पोस्टिंग छाचेंगे पर यहाँ जगह जब पोस्टिंग छाटो तो मिलेप चीज पे जाते ते कितना ते कन प्रॉब्लम चालू निस्पा कितना ठुगुन हाल है का कितना 10 ना 12 पर कितना ते इजुग शिचारू का कितना गाता स्कूल भी ना कितना गाता बेसिक पर कितना गया मैच चलाले गवर्नमेंट स्कूल का कितना गवर्नमेंट स्कूल मान होते ना का कितना गवर्नमेंट स्कूल ना कितना इजुग बेसिक पर गया मैचेस पे जाते कितना ठुमा पर गाता ना फेल चल वाला ले तेरे निस्पा तो उजना का कितना गाता बोर्ड एग्जाम कितना 10 ना 12 फेल चिया सुनते ना जना का कितना गाता कितना दान दिन कितना ठुमा पर कितना जुग राटा तंग चला ले गा कलते गाता कितना जुग गाता कितना सी डेमो चते मसला कितना का कितना गाता राटा तंग गाता कितना राटा तंग कितना तेरे गाता सिलती जुग चला ले तो जुग दुले फर्स्ट जुग पर कितना तेने
second boy kitang lack of moral education na dang dia ngata thu mangpo jina education ta yukya halale zuk daksa degree nen to yukya ma bhos to na te na lack of moral education meches jaste dang dia chizok sina mangpo nyokta bin jitang yot nokle te nyokta mi bing chese phia te ngata daksa izok moral education yani ki izok moral education bo kitana ngai te group na te discussion just bin le yani particularly subject yor na te thu na ya ta su izuk silana nyampo ta izuk degree nang nyampo along moral education e subject izuk shiyo na tene ngata is chizok spo tene marik education don with moral izuk chotpe on mi cha sang spo tene chaches nok tene ngata chizok spo te jaste tene ngai samangai group na te discussion tene ngati izuk chizok spo marik chize chen progressive po gale tourne yani daksa ngata mangpo educated yon nang daksa ngata ina izuk mangpek bin jik tanokle chize chen ta daksa ika Yokta izuk bemrele izuk border issues talks na daksa ina izuk conflict change ta yutun kala youth chik na chi bala educated yon jitang te fengati moral education bo teaches particular subject chik to ngai samena khachan duk samarle yong just chan time gunina
tene ina ketange nge sixing is in samara kaw ketana lale morality na ketana ngata ketana young wishes bo ketana ma khachan no kaw ketana ngata dangdria ketana kaw ketana ngata silches alale silches bo ketana ngata education man jamano kaw ketana silches man ba ketana ngata kaching ngata ketana silches na gela me ngata ketana ko khachi yang pentina khaspat ya tena cha khona su izu khaspat ya tena ketana silches bo man ba ketana education jama kaw ketana ngata chiji ko las ra so chingena rang china khaspa to na ketana education jana alale kaltes ngata education silte ngata ketana morality me na te ngata gela chachas mama kakpo na alale kaw ketana morality ketana ngata yong wishes bo khachno chief ketana ngata ketana kaltes I morality me na ketana ngata gela chachas bo ketana takbo ji gyuna ketana morality me na chang phanto me kya yale kaw ketana mi chemu ek son ta gyurte takpe gyurte mar morality me na ka to ketana ngata mi dang de takbo minda gyurte takbo gyurte ketana minda na izuk chano yale khachi ketana takbo gyurte ngata minda chano khachi ngata takbo gyurte ketana ngata samba gela jitang she sano khachi ketana takbo son te ngata terrorist gyurches ngata atangwati chok gyurches mak izuk kya yale ka ketana ngata ina spe mang poit no oda cho ketana kaltezi morality yodna ka to ngata ketana mak ina yong goshes pa ketana mak khachani no samar yale tene ketana corruption tene yang question chik bodu khatala corruption izuk duyale tene corruption and nepotism duk tene ko ketana ngata dang dine tuspina ketana izuk shino ka ketana ngata lale ngata chiji interview chato ka ketana ngata 4 class chato chiji interview chana ko to tena dang dine ketana ka izuk shiduk ka ketana ngata interview ka ketana ngata chukpo jigindo nyalwa chanjigindo ka ketana ngata chano galale interview ta ka ketana te interview jita chajingya pote izuk chano ka ketana ngata interview nenkan bo ketana ngata chu kya jana corruption chokna lale ka ketana ngata izuk shyo kya te ketana ngata khonang sheskan gun ketana lale pene tanste ya ngata sheskan nyendung gun ketana tena ko izuk choches te ngata pene mangpo tanste te izuk choches lale corruption te ka ketana ngata nyalwa chanji mingen chi singmet ko pene izuk singmet ka ketana ko nolisan thik ta yot ka ketana te izuk sing michoches ka ketana ngata tena ko ketana nepotism izuk choches lale tene o shik dugule
nepotism gun mijo che salale chok se apes gun daksa in you ketanga ta indu daksa yong che chane da ezo features of the LADAKH samme daksa ne fala itos ta pakhsup ta I chok ngo she bo yong mi go she inok zerkan bekanga ya tus dur song tene tena me thukje che julay
alternative education bo dum ji khama go ato mar sound jingai taspin zerchesi tonta potena I academic education ni philok pona ngata kazu achen zerkan be kawe jeste mitse dang de ramane mane samba tantan tan yotna daksai corruption yongches competition mulla chaches tene nepotism yongches jaga sama conflict chaches you tenna antik dok spus takspo education matches pejeste ka jaga ngata is spus takspo education ngata na yon tene mixali tene I problem sangme kane ngata overcome chaches duk zarkani during alternative education ni source tena yontan bo jingbat pa ngata last yongena tyo yontanin lakpe ngata shingani last yongena tuang yontanin abi meme kane ngata rung si chok ngata labja yonto tyo yontanin experience thongos mama ko do tyo yontanin ote samanga alternative education juste sompa tyo wang yontang zernyan jesin tyo yontan tyo ang yontanin zera sirif sukula silte silnyan ches dinyan ches chipo yontan man juste ngai juche si tontakpo te changmang yontan in tyo ang yontan nenna tene ngata spus tak so yontan chago sok sarkanji daksa morality fe subject chik sosek chogosman osdo mirwa chezan tyo aba mai kane ra nang sang se kane ra na yongjesino ta te fe yang syllabus sosek chogosman metya tyon te tyo yontan song maso song pasang I sama alternative education matches pe jeste daksi problem sama charuk tene yang yongjeshan tu sika ngai yang lazgul mamang pe shulin tene nija sama juju shkyoda za tene ngatang chama lokste 마당 직배 밑에 맞다 청매 밑에 갔다 데맥준 상말로 줄래 도에체 줄래 그러면 가스가 센트럴 인스티튜트 오브 부디스트 스터디스 이zam식 드링아야 달릭 조제라 닝타판에 독제체 줄래